Since its introduction to the company back in 2023, the new World Heavyweight Championship has had its share of critics. Notably, many folks see it as the secondary world title in WWE, in part because the only other world champ at the time when it was introduced was Roman Reigns on a record-breaking and historic title reign. Yet, we were meant to view this new hunk of metal as something comparable to it. And well, since its tumultuous beginnings, however, we saw a rather strong and somewhat divisive title run from Seth Rollins, which I plan to cover in an upcoming video, as well as two other champions in the form of Drew McIntyre, who lasted for about 5 minutes. Don't giggle at that. And of course, our current World Heavyweight El Campeón, Damian Priest. However, many folks feel that the man who will be standing across from the Archer of Infamy at SummerSlam is absolutely the right guy to be positioned as world champion. That man, of course, being Gunther, who during Seth's title reign was busy with his own historic run as the longest reigning Intercontinental Champion in WWE history. Through said reign, he was put over massively as a nigh unstoppable heel that could rip just about anybody apart to keep his hands on some gold. And well, both Priest and Gunther are credible and have a lot of valid reasons for winning at the biggest party of the summer. But as the saying goes, there can only be one. So today I want to sit down and talk about who needs the title more and how I feel both men can elevate the title in their own ways. That said, if you go on to enjoy this video, be sure to leave a like, and if we manage to hit, let's say, 600 likes, I'll be sure to get the Seth Rollins World Heavyweight Championship reign review out the door by the end of the month. Oh, also be sure to let me know who you think needs the title more down below in the comments. Right, so first let's talk about the challenger, who I mentioned some earlier. His accolades and general presentation are key indicators that Gunther is a guy who WWE sees a lot of long-term potential in. To date in WWE, there are only 4 men who have beaten him at all, which in today's wrestling world is an absurd stat to apply to just about anyone. Between that, his successful time as the leader of Imperium, his insane NXT UK title reign, and of course his record-shattering Intercontinental Championship reign, it has been woefully apparent for a number of years that Gunther would be capturing the big one sooner or later. And well, it's really easy to see why. The guy carries himself like a champion both inside and outside the ring. Inside specifically, he's been shown to be more than capable of putting away just about any opponent through a myriad of different moves which all look stunning from a viewing perspective. However, an underrated aspect of his character, in my opinion, is his mic work. Every word he says is there to get straight to the point and establish purely his intentions and how he intends to act on them. There is no hollowness in his words, meaning his messages are often conveyed very simply and effectively. He's not Roddy or Punk, but he can certainly articulate his points very well. Now, as it pertains to this video, does Gunther need the World Heavyweight Championship? I think this answer is a bit complicated. While I personally know the potentially incredible reign he could have with the gold, the reason I'm hesitant to say he needs it comes down to a few key factors. First and foremost being that we just got done with having him have a long and dominant title reign, as well as there's been sort of a surplus of those recently between Seth, Roman, and Rhea as well. Not to say long title reigns are bad, by the way, but in my opinion, there is such a thing as too much of a good thing. And, well, the guy has had more time in the WWE as a champion than not, both in NXT UK and on the main roster. And generally speaking, rightfully so. Again, he looks great with just about every title he's held and made them feel like actual gold. But I also think it might be a little soon for another title run. And while some folks might say that that's exactly what the World Heavyweight Championship needs to become a credible and real championship, I'd like to argue that we already saw a long run from a credible top guy when Seth was champion initially. And while some people are gonna say that Gunther's different or would suit the role better because he has a proven track record of these sorts of runs being really good, but again, I just struggle to imagine that this is what the championship really needs. Conversely to that, one thing I feel is sorely needed for the World Heavyweight Championship is a story. Which, if I'm being completely honest, Seth had some solid ones. His stuff with Finn in particular was great in my opinion, as well as his stuff with Shinsuke was the best stuff Shin has done since his NXT days. However, since Damian won it, I felt pretty whelmed with the current set of feuds we've seen. Like, he's got incredible wins over challengers like Drew, Seth, and of course Jey Uso, but I don't know how much the stories of those matches have really connected with people. For me personally, I can say that they've been alright, but not incredible. However, the one story that's very clearly been on the burner for some time now has been between Damian and Finn Balor. Some folks might say that their feud doesn't need the title. And listen, I'm all about feuds not needing a title to be legitimate. Drew and Punk in particular is a great example of that concept being a great way to have a stellar storyline where the only thing at stake for either man is their pride. However, that works because their story isn't centered around the world title. See, Finn Balor back in 2016 beat Seth Rollins at SummerSlam to become the inaugural Universal Champion. And as you probably already know, he got injured in that match and was forced to vacate the title the next night on Raw. This led directly into his matches with Seth last year over the World Heavyweight Championship and provided real incredible reasons why Balor felt he was robbed of his time at the top of the mountain. And during those matches last year, Priest was often blamed for why Finn couldn't put Seth away, be it by teasing a cash-in at Money in the Bank itself, or by him simply distracting Finn at SummerSlam 2023. The seeds were planted very early on. There was some dissension brewing between the pair. And while that dissension did go away for some time with only light teases here and there, ever since Mania and of course Damian's title reign, there has been more of them than ever. Be it through the more recent involvement of Liv Morgan with the Judgment Day, and Finn's seeming affiliation with her, or through him simply trying to help Priest retain the title and Damian not taking too kindly to that. To me at this point, their feud is a very simple but effective one to me, their story is a very simple yet very effective one to tell. Priest did what Finn could not. And since becoming champion, their relationship and the general group dichotomy of Judgment Day has shifted from being all equals to Damian pushing his weight around more and more as a leader. This sort of story and long-term build between the two hinges on the World Heavyweight title being contested between the two of them. However, there are some criticisms about this feud that I've heard on the internet and I want to address now. First, let's talk about Finn, right? The guy over the past few years has had quite the wishy-washy win-loss record. Notably, it feels like he hasn't won a big singles match since his heel turn, even losing his Mania clash against Edge at Mania 39, which very easily felt like a slam dunk win for the Demon. So for him to go from being a loser to challenging and perhaps even winning the World Heavyweight title from Damian could very easily reinstate a big problem in WWE, that problem being the lack of wins and losses mattering. However, while his singles win-loss record hasn't been great, he has been a tag champion alongside both Damian and now JD McDonough. I'm not saying this is an apples-to-apples comparison by any means, but he has looked fairly credible in his time with both the Undisputed, as well as now the World Tag Team titles. So it's not like the guy is completely incapable of winning or anything like that. Plus, need I remind you that he is of course a former world champion, even if his reign lasted about as long as I did with the misses last night. My point is that while I definitely understand this criticism and issue, it's not like it's one that can be watered down into something super black and white. In addition to that, it's not like he couldn't simply go on a bit of a winning streak, or win a #1 contenders match to earn a shot at the title either. Something like a tournament or perhaps even a Rumble win would absolutely help to remind us all how credible a performer Balor can be presented as. However, shifting focus back to the ring general, this is of course something Gunther already is. I spoke on it earlier, but the dominance of his Intercontinental title reign is something that has absolutely made him look like one of the top heels in the company. And while I'm more than confident that with him as champion, we'll have banger matches set up on every card to look forward to, I do personally believe that in addition to it being a little too soon for him to win another title and go on another massively long reign, I do personally believe that it's a little soon for him to win another title and go on another massively long reign. And plus, I think it's robbing us of a lot of potential stories with Priest. Simply put, much like Triple H and other fans of Damian, I would absolutely be gutted if he goes down as the guy who was world champ and didn't kick out that one time at Money in the Bank because he was concussed. Call it recency bias, but that seems to be all anybody wants to talk about with him at the moment. And well, frankly, that really sucks because he is sincerely way more than that. I'm not telling you that his reign has lit the world on fire and has been amazing. However, what can elevate not only his reign, but the World Heavyweight Championship itself is a story like what they can tell between him and Finn Balor. All in all, I think both guys are great options, but my preference is to keep the title on Priest and let the guy prove people wrong. Let the story get over, and eventually we'll get a world title on Gunther anyway, so why bother rushing into it? All that said, those are just my thoughts. What do you think? Are you over Priest's title run? Is Gunther's time now? And how do you feel about the world title so far? Let me know in the comments down below, and hey ho, while you're headed down that way, be sure to leave a like on the video as it tells me you enjoyed this sort of content, and maybe I should look to make more of it in the future. And of course, to catch that future content, be sure to subscribe. I try to put out a couple videos a week about wrestling, and I reckon you might just enjoy some of them if you liked this one. For now though, I think I'm gonna dip, so as always, I hope you stay safe, and that was Dylightful.